the team that we were together with at that time were told by the Lord to go from the little village of Soe, where the revival started, that's where I went to school, to this other village, let us say, couple days walk away. So the team started, and let's say 40 kilometers, so that's about 30 miles later. So let's say if you walk 3 miles an hour, no, that's a little awfully fast. So a little, they have to walk to finally half a day or longer to come to where the side of the river. Now by then, after walking almost a whole day there, you're tired, and you said, well, let's rest here, and then we'll cross over the next day to go over to the village. Now, and at that time, it also happened to be rainy season. And it wasn't particularly raining where the village was, where the team arrived by the side of the river, but in the headwaters. So the water at that time, approximately 15, 20, 25 feet high. I was there about last year with a friend of mine from Atlanta, and I said, you're an American, you can judge well here. How wide is this river, you think, at this point? And he looked at it and he said, about 300 yards at least, the width of the river. And it was deep at that time. And so when the team arrived on this side of the river, wisdom or human wisdom in their mind, they said, well, let's just park here and spend the night, and we'll go on when the water comes down. But at that moment, the Lord said to them, no, the time to go is now. And of course, we said, Lord, why now? I mean, the river is high, and you're going to kill yourself crossing right now. But the Lord said, go now, because the people in the village, in the other side that you're going to, they need to hear the gospel. So it is important for people that hear this testimony here to understand that we weren't there looking for the miracle. We weren't even expecting or thinking that it's going to happen. The mission that we have is the lost, and God told us to go to bring the gospel or preach the gospel to the lost. So that is where our mind were focused on. And so, like I said, we are thinking to go the next day or whatever, but since the Lord specifically said cross now, so we did. Well, after a little hesitation, one asked the other one, said, are you sure, and all that, and we finally said, okay, if the Lord wants us to do it, we do it. So the team actually crossed the river, and the unusual or funny part about it is that as we crossed the river, the water never come any higher than our knees. So we were thinking, this is great. Maybe it wasn't really that deep to begin with, So we're happy, so we crossed over, and we went over to the other side. Now, after we got to the other side, that the people over on this side, which weren't part of the team, they said, yeah, maybe the river wasn't that deep. They have the same thought. So they tried to get into the water, but when they got into the water, that is when they realized that really the miracle has taken place, because they almost killed themselves by walking in onto the water. So we got over to the other side, walked over to the village, and preached the gospel, and that is when the first man was raised from the dead, and I can tell you about that later, and that's how the whole village came to the Lord. But you see, one thing I would like to say about the miracle is that when it was happening, we wouldn't even realize it, because at that time our mind wasn't in the miracle. Our mind was in accomplishing the task, doing what God wants us to do. So if we keep our mind in the task at hand, or in obeying the word or the command that God has given us, then it is His call as He sees the need for a miracle. Well, actually the miracle is to facilitate us going from point A to point B to preach the gospel. So miracles is not the end on itself. It is the means, it is the tool, it is the help, so to speak, that God has given us so that we can reach point B to preach the gospel, so that these people can come to the Lord. A friend of mine asked me some years later and said, Mel, you guys still cross the river? And he meant that particular part of the river. I said, no. He said, why? I said, well, because the Australians came and built a bridge over the river, so it's easier to just cross the bridge than, than trying to cross the river. And my point was just to bring his mind onto the right way of thinking about miracles, because most of us being human beings, we are always excited about the miracle. Not that we wouldn't get excited if the miracle happened, but remember, the focus is always on Jesus and the mission. Miracles are the help and the tools that God sent our way so that we can accomplish the task. And the task is always so that the eternal destiny of mankind, they can come to know Jesus, that will be accomplished.